I'll just...
You haven't watched it, and you are watching. Hey, paisanos! Welcome to the Super Mario Brothers show. No, you're watching A3K live, and we are live right now. And if you're watching us, that means you are a fan of Anime 3000, and we love you from the bottom of our hearts. We really do. This is a recording. We do this every single Saturday at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, and basically what it is you can join the audience for the taping of our A3K podcast show or A3K clip show or what you've been doing, ... and anything else that I decide to come up with at a whim, and you get to see it raw and uncut. But more importantly than that, is that even how you say that? Whatever. You get to interact with us while it's going on in our live chat at youtube.com/A3KTV. So as our host David Majors is going through the different lineups of topics that we're talking about, I'll be making sure I pay extra close attention to the things that
you guys, essentially what it means is that Sean Russell, the executive producer and founder of the A3K network, saw the job that I was doing as host of the A3K podcast and just flat out said, you know what? Nope. This guy. Nope. We had what they call a coming to Jesus meeting, especially after the whole Shudokan thing. I don't really remember. I kind of blacked out around 2 a.m. and then a couple of days later we had the coming to Jesus meeting. And Sean, I just want to welcome you back to the A3K podcast. So
pieces of
welcome
blow-up
back.
dolls everywhere.
It's more the fact
various
that
Sailor Scouts.
I had so much fun last episode that I got my win back. Let's just say I got the win back in my sails, and I wanted to come back to this wonderful show called the A3K Live Show. So with all that said, let's start the show. Hey, you're watching the A3K podcast, or if you're on our iTunes or RSS feed, you're listening to the A3K podcast, and I'm your host, at least one of your hosts, Sean Russell, and joining us today on our wonderful panel, we have Jack DeAllister, who is always a trooper joining us on these shows. You can hear her on the bonus round, actually see her on a bonus round, a video that's going to be released, well, hear her on that episode. It's a video, but you'll hear her coming up pretty soon, as well as a bunch of other cool things you can look forward. Say hello to the fine folks, Jack.
Hello, Jack.
Nice.
I'm fine, folks.
And we have David Majors, who is going to be kicking it off in a few seconds and going over all of the different stories that we have.
Oh, okay. Now? Like now. Okay. You'll meet the Koopa, the Trooper, the Princess, and the others. Hanging with the brothers, you'll be hooked on the brothers. Hello, Sean. It's the A3K podcast, everybody. I'm David Majors. I'm the host, at least until Sean decides I need to go to the principal's office again. I'm not drunk, I promise. Not this time. I am completely 100% totally sober, I swear. So let's just jump in, Sean. Jack, what do you say?
This isn't water.
She's 21 now, everybody.
Oh, that's right.
Happy birthday to me. Oh god, I spilled. No! No! Hurry, start.
You require further training.
All right, let's have a clean intro into our first segment.
All right. Do you want me to take it from there?
Yeah, you just jump into the first segment.
Okay. First, that's from the doc. We're starting with the discussion, right? Starting with the news?
Yes.
Okay. Do it. All right. Just getting things underway, let's throw it around the horn. First story, a poll from Charapedia reported that there was a reader poll of 10,000 readers recommending their personal favorite overlooked anime they thought that people by and large kind of glossed over and kind of missed. And at the top of the list, one that I thought was possibly may not necessarily belong here because it got a good amount of TV play. Number 1 on the list, Baccano. A pretty good show, in my opinion. I was always under the impression that it did really well, but people seem to think it was overlooked. Sean, have you seen Baccano? Did you watch it?
Baccano is one of my all-time favorite anime series, and I think that its inclusion on the list completely validates it. It's not one of those lists that you want to roll your eyes at, because I completely agree that Baccano, it's so many people don't know what it is. I was at Florida Anime Experience last year, which we're actually going to be at it again this year. Plug. And we were controlling the viewer room, and when we played it, everyone was kind of like, "What's this?" And I don't normally like rage, but I raged because you need to know what Baccano is. If you're an anime fan, you at least need to know what it is. You don't have to watch it; just know what it is. And I completely agree. Number 1 most overlooked anime series ever.
I think one of the reasons why it's so important to at least be aware of Baccano is because it's so unlike most anime, especially most anime now, it is about completely the opposite of Japanese schoolgirls and magical classrooms where we're going to train. And no, these are about adults, European adults, and that's important. And also not in modern day or in some weird future. This is historical. Well, guys, Baccano actually happened. I'm sorry. I spoiled. Jesus. I apologize. Now
you require further training.
Now you have to watch it so you'll know, because if you're an actually awesome person and you have problems with spoilers, that just means that you have to prove those spoilers wrong by just going in there and kicking that show's butt, and then, only then, will you be able to be upset about those spoilers. That's how it goes.
And I'm gonna take a quick pause, and I'm going to introduce another panelist that's on our show. Most of you know her if you follow the A3K network. Everybody say hello to JD Banks.
Hi, JD.
And right now we're talking about overlooked anime series, and we're on number 1 right now. We started with number 1, and that was Baccano. Have you seen that series, JD?
No.
No. See, you're the type of person I rage on, but you get a pass because you're more of a manga person. So that's okay. I'll forgive you this time, JD.
Looks like we've got some. We didn't even have to ask the chat already, but looks like we've got AW Brawler in the chat right now saying he believes that the most overlooked anime. Sorry, let me grammatically say this the way he put it. Most overlooked ever is Ghost Slayer Ayashi. I don't know what that is. Anybody know? He said Konnichiwa as well.
I cannot say I'm familiar with that one, but there is one on this list, if you scroll a little, that I was very much of the opinion that this was an overlooked show, and it's time to start the drinking game, everybody, because David is about to mention a mech show. It is a mech show that I thought had a good amount of crossover appeal, because the art design was not done by your typical mech people. It was actually done by the team that was involved with Sailor Moon. And that is the show on this list at number 22, entitled Star Driver. This show was, I would almost say, a mech show made for yaoi fangirls, even more so than Gundam Wing. Gundam Wing was a show that was kind of commandeered by the yaoi fangirl audience, whereas Star Driver was a mech show made with that audience in mind. And it was very, very entertaining. I think it had a lot of crossover appeal. And me being the quote-unquote mech guy, that is one for everyone that says, I don't know about mech shows. It seems like they're all about the giant robots and nothing else, and I don't really like that. I think Star Driver would be one you might want to check out. I think that is a show that I see this on this list, and I'm like, yes, this is a show that was overlooked, and I want people to check this show out. And that is Star Driver at number 22.
Well, David,
Go ahead, Jack.
Well, David, once I check this show out, then I am definitely going to bat around some ideas with you, because I want to know what you think is potentially crossovery about it, and I will share what I think. That'd be awesome.
Consider it done.
And what we normally do with these lists, because not everyone is going to have that link as they're watching it or care to click on the link, we normally go down it. There's a lot that won't necessarily require us to go into full detail over, so we might just gloss over it. But a lot of them we might not be able. Well, I know I can't pronounce them all. So JD, you can't get control, can you?
Nope.
I guess I'll butcher them. All right. So we'll go quickly down the list, but there are a few on there that some of you might notice, and we kind of mentioned a few of them already on this particular episode. So the first one that we want to talk, number 30 on the list, and we'll do this really quickly, guys. The Flowers of Evil.
Ooh, goody. My favorite. I guess I'll have to fill in for Cody today and say that this show makes me vomit just watching it. It's really motion sicky.
All right, so we'll keep going in that instance. I watched a little bit of it. Not a huge fan of Flowers of Evil. Nom 29, Jinzo Konshu Kabuto Board VV. Nothing. Bueller?
They really should VXV.
We're getting to one, Sean. We're getting to one where I'm gonna pop, where I'm gonna mark out. We're getting to one. We're almost there.
Next 28. We'll go quick on this. Drifters. Nothing.
Oh yeah.
Not even Tokyo
Drifters.
Yeah.
What do you know about it, JD?
Well, I heard a lot about it, but it's more like it is kind of underrated in the mainstream anime. But I read a little bit of the manga though, so I thought it was interesting. But yeah, I think it deserves to be on the list.
All right. 27. The Big O.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah.
All right.
There we go.
Yes.
It's showtime.
This series, it made me like love and hate it, because I love Batman, right? And I was like, this is like a ripoff of Batman a little bit with Mecha, But then I was like, I don't care.
It's a little Batman. It's a little giant Robo. Yeah, it's got the worst ending in history, but all the way up until the final couple of minutes, it's so good. Like this for a while. This was my show.
Good endings in anime.
Yeah, same here.
None. Zero. But for a while, this was my jam. This was my show. And yes, absolutely. Yes.
Okay. That's a good sign. Hopefully we get that reaction from a few more of these. I doubt it though.
Some.
26, BPS, Battle Programmer Shirase.
I've heard of this. That's about it. Shirase.
This sounds like something I would like.
Probably.
25.
Sounds like something you could write.
25, Jormungand.
Didn't the Manga do an episode on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
This is one of the series I'm waiting to get back to the States to buy, because I've heard so much about it, but it's kind of like a lot of manga readers really recommend this one sometimes. So I'm like, yes, I'm glad it's on the list. So
I watched a few episodes based off back when 2GAM reviewed it, and it has a very Black Lagoonish feel to it, but just a little bit lighter tone.
I think it's by the same team actually.
So that's one that you probably should check out. But it has a Black Lagoonish feel. So if you like Black Lagoon, you should probably check this one. You should probably check that one out. 24, Deno Coil.
Yeah, Deno Coil. This one I watched a little bit. It is a sci-fi show. It's around the concept of augmented reality. It's a pretty interesting show. I might want to go back and rewatch it, but I enjoyed it. The pacing is a little slow, even for me. But this was definitely one of my sci-fi future tech shows. I really enjoyed it. It had a little run on the Sci-Fi Channel a couple of years ago, but I would recommend it.
23, Hybrid Child.
Also heard of this. That's about it. I hope that they get at least 30 mpg.
30 mpg.
It's a car joke. Miles per gallon.
There you go. Hey, Mr. Out of Touch here. 22, Star Driver. We mentioned this one earlier in the show. 21, Ashita no Naja.
If you can't pronounce it, it's probably...
Haven't you heard... Number 20, haven't you heard? I'm Sakamoto.
Well, now I've heard...
Oh, yeah. Yep. Know about this one. This was one of the number
JD.
one... Huh? What?
So, JD, go, JD.
This one is actually one of the number one, I guess not really shonen. It's kind of more like a slice, I don't know. It's kind of between shonen and slice of life kind of thing. But it was number one on the list out of all these other manga stuff, maybe last year or the year before in Japan. So I thought, okay, they are definitely going to make a series out of this, at least by this year, and that's probably what's going to happen. So.
I just want to point out before we continue on the list here, AW Brawler pitching in again on the live chat. He's saying that Kokoro Connect should be on the list. If it's not, I'm just going to leave that out in the air for a second because we know what AW Brawler likes.
And if you don't, you should be watching the A3K live more often. So
And
the
not
next
Milky
one,
Homes.
not Milky Home. The next one we're just on number 19, Psychic Detective Yakumo.
This sounds like something I would like, so I'll probably come
This
back
sounds
to
like-
it and let you guys know.
This sounds like something that would be really, really popular.
And it's not, which is really odd. And again, Baccano's on this list, so you know.
David, you want to go ahead and continue going down the list for me?
Yeah. Well, I'll make this a little quicker. I'll take it from here. Let me pull up the list on my end. Going on with number 18, Manga-Con to Assistant-san.
Oh, yeah, I know that one too.
That's a good one. That one's really fun and very real,
Yeah.
which isn't something you get a lot in anime.
Yeah.
Anything.
Number 17, one I've actually heard is not very good at all. Haibane Renmei.
I couldn't tell. I can't pronounce it or tell what it means.
Alright, I
Number
guess that's your
16, Bokurano.
That sounds a little bit like little weird cousin of Boku no Pico, but I don't know.
And we're moving on to number 15, one I actually reviewed on the Nanashi Anime Podcast not that long ago, Revolutionary Girl Utena. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, why is it on the list?
That's what I said. This isn't an overlooked show.
Because people don't like unique things. I think what this is probably recommending to the modern anime fandom, and that's something that needs to be given to them. Oh, it's
Okay, I can
old.
use
It's
that,
more than
Jack. I use
5
that.
years old. It's probably not
That
very
is-
good. It's probably ugly
and-
and stuff.
That's exactly why Lily and I wanted to talk about Utena. This show was her pick for Nanashi. It came out in 1997, I believe.
Oh my god,
That's
that's so long ago.
I know, hashtag old school. But I actually thought it was okay. It was a shoujo, and that's usually not my genre of choice. But this was really, really enjoyable. I thought it was one to watch. So yeah, Revolutionary Girl at 15. Check that one out.
I actually watched the show in English and Japanese, and I was like, wow, like they really, really loved the whole candy area of shoujo during that time. So I think, yeah, Jackie, I think you hit a good point. 'Cause, like some of these, I'm like, aren't these some of these like the old school ones that they've been around? It's just maybe in a different form, but the new generation is just barely like grabbing hold of it because now it has an anime or a live action or something, or like Parasite was had a manga from back in the day, and then now it's just barely
Oh, Sean, we
anime.
got to talk about Parasite too. We got to talk about Parasite, Sean.
Oh, we'll
We
get
gotta
to that.
Save
We'll
it.
get to that one.
Oh, jeez. Oh, save it, please. Oh God, it's kicking in now.
All right, let's go. Let's keep this moving.
Number 14, GA Geijutsuka Art Design class.
That sounds like something I'd write. Probably. Watch it be
And
terrible.
probably make more money.
Kokoro netsumachimasu.
Number 13, Tanaka-kun wa itsumo kedaruge.
Same to you, buddy. Gee.
What did you call me?
I don't know what
Number
you just
12,
said.
and
It sounds like you
JD,
insulted
if
me.
you have the story up, or if you have the doc, please by all means help me with the pronunciation of some of these, please.
Crunchyroll. She
I'm
can't
sorry,
access
I don't.
Crunchyroll in Japan.
Oh, I can actually tell you what the next one means, and you're not going to like it, so go ahead and say it immediately.
Inu Marudashi, number 12.
Marudashi means to streak, and Inu is dog. Do the fucking math.
Ooh, that sounds awful.
That sounds like
We'll
the
give that
best thing ever.
We'll give that one to Cody. We'll let Cody check that one out. Sean, what do you say?
But it also might
I think we can put that one in the Cody pile.
What were you saying, JD?
Marudashi? Marudashi Inu? Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Inu Marudashi.
Inu Marudashi. Inu Marudashi. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe it means a dog that chases its own tail.
Oh, still doesn't sound very good.
Number 11, F, A Tale of Memories.
And that's spelled E-F.
Same to you, buddy.
I would imagine this show is probably graded an F, from what it sounds like.
An F for fantastic.
An F for,
Haha! That's why they pay Sean the big bucks, guys.
an F
Number
for
10, Kaleido Star.
From the
And
look
oh
of
my,
this picture.
oh my God, the picture for this show. Sean, if you could
picture.
share your screen out.
The picture
and
for this.
Get the fine folks at home.
I've actually heard a lot of good things about this show.
Before
Okay.
you do, when you're sharing this, I want to just describe this for the viewers as the resident artiste. I'm allowed to say that. Cody's not here. He's far better than I ever will be. Let's just go ahead and say, Kaleidostar, this image looks extremely like somebody's fan portrait of what Madoka turns into at the end of Madoka Magica, with some Steven Universe fan characters that are a couple in the front line. So all kinds of good.
It looks like a villain from the first season of Sailor Moon.
That too.
I will
yes.
say, guys, just to bring up Star Driver again, number 22, there's a little bit of this in Star Driver, and it's amazing.
It looks like a good jolly time. It also looks like, oh dear me, and a good sense of everything else.
It looks like something I won't watch.
It's like a hint. This looks like
And speaking of
It looks
something,
like
speaking of something we won't probably watch, what's number 9?
Oh no, Colton actually recommended this one, and I can actually say that it's pretty fucking funny.
Well, that's just a bad transition. It was a horrible segue.
no. We'll roll with it. We're live. Let's go. We're live. Love it.
Don't judge me on my great anime choice.
Number 9, Cute High Earth Defense Club. Love.
Magical boys, everybody.
I
stole my
love
idea.
this.
They stole
I
my
love-
idea.
Well, what was your idea, Jack? Tell us.
My idea was, riding on the success of Black Butler, I was going to create a really parodic show of yaoi and pretty boys and things like that, and have all these guys dressed up in sequin tuxes going to a school specially made to make them butlers, where they have to fight the zombie apocalypse in the most gory, disingenuous way possible, which means sparkly effects and actual bloody carnage. So they will be stabbing instead of just things explode. Kind of like Lollipop Chainsaw meets Black Butler plus lame pants. And they stole it.
Is this a show you want to make, or is that what Cute High Earth Defense Club Love is?
That was my first. Both.
That was that.
That was my first concept for a webcomic. It's terrible though because the art was terrible, and there's none of it online. So good luck, gentlemen.
So, Jack, let me take all of your hopes and dreams away and move on to number 8 and say The Daily Lives of High School Boys at number 8. And, well, the photo from this show, it really speaks for itself. The young lady who might be the protagonist has a very evil, menacing look on her face while she's bent over.
And breathing heavily.
In her school uniform. In her school uniform, and two gentlemen behind her are looking rather incredulous.
She looks a little bit like me, and that is the complete opposite of something I would do, especially in the sense of something named Daily Lives of High School Boys.
That's at Jack D. Tyler D on Twitter, everybody.
This bottle's almost empty. I might have to leave.
No. I stayed through last week. You're staying through this. You're staying to the end. By the way, as we're rotating through on the schedule, I think, JD, next week it's your turn to be drunk on the podcast. I'm pretty sure it's your turn next week.
We'll see, because I'm still morning here, and, I can't drive if I drink. So.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
There's absolutely no drinking tolerance here. So if you drink anything or eat anything with alcohol and they pull you over, you can lose your job.
Oh wow. Never mind.
Unless it's a different time, then sure. But I'm not really a drinker. Actually, I don't drink.
Just another way Japan is ruining our fun. Another way.
There's a couple of interesting comments that are being floated around on the chat. AW Brawler mentioned, I'm not sure if this was for Kaleido Star or if this was for Cute Hide Earth Defense Love, but I'm going to think it's for the latter. Oh, that looks mad sexy, gotta watch it now. Meanwhile, Dean the Adequate saying that I believe this is also for Cute High Defense Earth Love. I'm probably going to get really mixed up now. It's interesting. There's a few magical elements, but it's about relationship building and learning how people perform in fancy circuses like Cirque du Soleil.
No, I'm sorry, not you.
Oh. Tell me no. Tell me not to do things. I don't want to be enabled in this environment.
She's into that, guys. She's into that.
I was talking to my cat. I'm sorry.
So what do we have next on the list?
I'm a bad kid.
Number 7, and please somebody help me with this one.
Shobakuretsu Ichigen Menko Battle. Gigante Shooter Tsukasa.
I could see it.
It's actually up on the screen, JD.
That's gonna be me in 20 minutes.
Oh, here you go. Wait, go. It's like bouncing around. Hold on, here. Chobakuretsu Ichigen Menko Battle. Menko Battle. Giant Shooter Tsukasa. Wow. I know what this is from, though, actually. There's these things here. They're like all these blocky looking characters, and they're really kind of popular, actually. And now they have this anime for it too. It looks ridiculous though, but I might watch it. I just want to see what they do.
Very close.
It definitely looks like it could be entertaining, so I'm definitely intrigued.
It looks
like it could be entertaining.
Right.
Number 6, one that I'm actually a big fan of. I enjoyed Fractal. A really great animation style in this one. I really liked the story. This is one that I would definitely recommend checking out. It had a little... Did it have a run on the Sci-Fi Channel? I think it did for a little bit. When Sci-Fi did anime for a little while, and I caught it then. And it was a really interesting show. Very strange concepts, but it ended up being really good.
It's a little Truman Showy, isn't it? Or something like that.
It is. It's a little Truman Showy. It's a little post-apocalyptic, and it's got some interesting math concepts. I'd have to rewatch it because it was about 2 years ago or so. But I really enjoyed the show start to finish. It's 13 episodes, I believe I recall, and yeah, it's on this list of overlooked, and I'm not too surprised. It's not like Baccano, where I thought everyone knew about Baccano, or I thought everyone knew about Big O. But I would say that if this could be considered overlooked, I second this list and say this is one to check out.
Sean?
Sean?
You imagine if like an anime is named Fractal, people are going to skip over it because that just sounds generic.
I know
Or Mathy.
Funimation released this too, so I'm thinking it should be available on the Funimation channel if you guys want to check it out.
And it looks good, so you get my approval. I won't yell at you if you watch this because it looks pretty.
Number 5 actually had a run on Adult Swim, so again, I'm surprised people would say it's overlooked. Scride, or as I've heard some people call it, Scarido.
I've heard some people call it Scrido.
I call it Scarido because that's
it's anime's answer to the X-Men.
When it comes to this show, I watched it. It is kind of a rival shonen where dudes have special powers in their arms. Me personally, just David speaking for himself, it was not the greatest watch. I guess some people might say it's a little underrated. You can check it out. Me personally, not so much. Sean,
in the chat, we actually have some people chiming in. Dean the Adequate, who's also part of the A3K network, he writes, Scrido was aight. And that was one of my first anime, and it's so underrated. So
okay. I can back down when it comes to Scride. I didn't exactly hate it. I just didn't think it was that great. So
this next one looks like a doozy. Let's talk about that one.
Yeah, number 4, Gakuen Utopia Manabi Straight, and the photo alone is 5 young schoolgirls in their uniforms, all doing the Black Panther pose like they're at the 1972 Olympics. So I'm already interested.
I'm sorry I got in a fight and ruined your kawaii as fuck party.
I have to admit, I'm kind of interested in this, just by the fact that they're all showing the fist, all alone, and not in the way that you usually see schoolgirls showing a fist in anime, but they seem to be showing some kind of solidarity.
Isn't this anime about studying or something? Because it literally means school utopia learning straight.
That kind of sounds awesome. I love the idea of maybe this is like a super intense, over-the-top shonen where studying gives you power! I'm gonna study math for 4 hours!
Damn, I wish I could do that.
If they're
I'm sorry, I could only study for 2.5.
Math ain't good. I got like 30 minutes.
Math.
Pythagorean theorem! I have to say, though, if they're supposed to be high school girls or even middle school girls, this art style makes them look thick as fuck. I apologize. No, I don't. Sorry, not sorry. Hashtag it. Put that in the chat. Sorry, not sorry. Jack, A3K 2014. That is important, though. Girls is thick.
All right, we're getting down to our final 3.
Number 3, Corpse Party.
Yes. Is this an anime? I have only played the games.
Oh, look, it's Korra from Soul Eater. Krona. What is her name?
Krona.
Krona. It's Krona from...
That looks nothing like Krona, boy. What you talking about?
Yes, it does. Look, the neck thing. Has a neck thing. You take off the ponytail. Come on,
look,
chat.
it's Krona. Look, it's Krona, guys. I'm cosplaying Krona right now.
Am I not the one? Come on, chat. Does anybody agree with me in the chat? That looks a little like Krona.
The expression's similar. The expression's similar, but that's because Krona is crying all the time. But I love Krona, so I'm not going to call him a whiny bitch. But Corpse Party is a fun PSP game. It's actually still available on the PlayStation Network, and its sequel, which has an interesting kind of Alone in the Dark type of a sanity thing, where depending on what choices you make, it affects the interface and fucks it up, and you're just sitting there in the middle of this visual novel going, what? And really nice retro kind of RPG feel while you're roaming around it, because, you know, characters will follow you, and then, of course, it takes you for a loop, and then the next thing you know, you found them that they hung themselves the moment that you turned away and they weren't following you. So I recommend giving it a play. I don't know if it's actually an anime. This looks like a portrait from a manga. Maybe it's a manga instead, but I don't know why that would be on here. I don't know.
Okay.
Number two. Number two, while Jack attempts to recover. Number two, a show that is clearly named after my safe word, Kill Me Baby.
Actually, this anime, from watching a few episodes on iTunes, is kind of fun. It's done mostly in this kind of chibi style, and it's about the middle girl is a member of the mafia, and she is constantly trying to fulfill her obligations as an assassin. And I believe the girl on the left, it's been a while since I watched it, is basically a friend. It's kind of like if anyone's seen the Nick show Making Fiends, where the one girl, Vendetta, was always making creatures and wanted to get the fuck rid of her, and Charlotte's basically super, oh my gosh, I want to be friends with you the whole time. Let's really learn and grow closer as a community and friends. You want to make fiends? Well, I want to make friends. This is basically the Japanese equivalent of it. It's done in a very cutesy art style as well. And if you haven't seen Making Fiends on Nickelodeon, please go do yourself a favor. Watch it on YouTube. That's a cute and disturbingly messed up kind of a show. I'm done.
And then, finally...
You better hang in there, Jack. I went through the entire show last week. You're not going anywhere. Last but not least, once again, the aforementioned Baccano, which once again, I'm surprised to see this show described as overlooked. I was of the impression that Baccano was pretty popular.
Yeah, same here.
I think it's critically praised, but I don't think it's popular, and I think that's the problem with the world. I think everyone who's seen Baccano screams its praises, but not enough people have come across and watched it.
I suppose so, because I watched it. I thought it was really good, and most anime circles that I run around, I know at least a couple of people that rave about Baccano. So I've always been under the impression that Baccano was pretty well recognized, but hey, Japan.
And it's from the same writer as Durarara. So
Yeah.
for those of you who may
Again.
only know Durarara, this is the series that came out before it, and they're not linked, but it's a far superior series. So if you like Durarara, watch
Sean?
Baccano.
Sean?
Yes.
Are you English because you're ending things that should end in A with an R? Princess Diana. I'm sorry, I'm really amused. Durarara. Oh, yes, I couldn't possibly.
Okay, I don't.
You realize in Japan they say the R's like L's, right?
Dularara.
Does this mean that an English person who has lived in Japan would eventually start saying Princess Diana or Dulalalal?
Yeah.
Sounds like they're saying. This is very interesting. I must think about this further. This is entirely fascinating, and it will probably cease to be in a few hours.
And speaking of ceasing to be in a few hours, what is our next discussion?
Well, guys, there is someone who people were worried actually did cease to be in recent times, and that was Hideo Kojima, the man behind the famed Metal Gear Solid and Metal Gear video games, and also the extremely underrated Zone of the Enders video games. Last week, he kind of did something of a vague farewell on Twitter, and then not long after that, the word got out that he was leaving Konami. And it would seem as though, according to the story, Konami addressed the removal of Kojima Productions from their website on Twitter last week. and that at least right now, Kojima is still working on the next Metal Gear Solid game. Although if you pay attention, Hideo Kojima always says, "This is the last Metal Gear game I'm working on. This is the last Metal Gear game I'm working on." Although he never makes another Zone of the Enders game. Woo! But now it's really seeming like Kojima is definitely, absolutely, totally done for real this time, you guys, with Konami and Metal Gear Solid. Huge franchise of games, but it was rather weird to see someone that's such a prominent figure in gaming, who's also known for tweeting on the regular, just kind of suddenly disappear. But guys, are any of you guys fans of the Metal Gear games?
Yeah.
I'm always hiding in a box.
But I think, how old is Kojima?
He's 51.
Not that old.
Huh. So, and Konami took down all his stuff, so that means he's not there anymore. So basically,
he's
anytime the company does something, that's the Japanese way of saying you're not here anymore.
It's really sad. It just
But
might
right
be
now,
a case of...
yeah, around this time is when everyone's transitioning. So people are leaving, we're going to different companies, people are changing schools, the school year ends, the business year ends. So there's a lot of changes going on right now. So I'm pretty sure he's not the only one that's left. So yeah.
I'm sure if Kojima wants to do another game, guaranteed somebody's going to pick him up, and maybe he'll kickstart something. Maybe he'll kickstart Zone of the Enders 3.
He probably won't, though, because he's what, 51? So he has basically 9 years, less than 9 years, to do whatever he wants at a studio or whatever, because by 60, you have to retire. That's just the law in Japan. So, yeah, so he wouldn't have that much time, per se, to do a lot of stuff.
Maybe he's got to put a little bit more money away. Maybe he needs to put a little bit more money away before that time is up.
Maybe he needs to
that's what the pension is for.
I do want to say... Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, he's still got at least one more Metal Gear game, so that's going to help some.
These newer Metal Gear Solid games, they're kind of the older ones were better because they concentrated, some of them, not all of them, concentrated on kind of getting the character development and all those other things down, and now it's just more about flash and gore and that kind of stuff, and you're just like, where's the real story? What's the real pushing force that you want to keep playing instead of repetition because it looks cool, so, and I think that's with a lot of video games in general, so I don't just think it's Metal Gear.
We got some interesting points made in the chat. PackerGirl89 says that this is very similar to Toriyama. This is the last DBZ! Everyone's demanding where Zone of the Enders are and things like that.
No, it's just me. It's just me.
No, we got AW looking at that, so you can appreciate him for some of his good taste. Looks like Evil Squid Boy says he's still working on Silent Hills. At least we got that. That is a blessing. I wonder what a Metal Gear would be like without a hot dose of Kojima insanity, writes Dean the Adequate. And he would like to see him do another kind of game, something different. I think that we all want that desperately. Something that really helps define
maybe
another
something
genre.
that involves mechs from an anime series from the early 90s. Maybe the third game in a series that he already did 2 games on. Maybe.
Pretty please. I want to hide the box again. I want a box. Give me the box. Oh, that sounds great, considering what I said in the chat last week.
Moving away from Jack's box, we'll jump into the story that I specifically was hoping to the very last second that we would get the queen of the A3K network on for. Assassination Classroom. I know you, JD, recently covered this on the Manga Corner. And we're jumping into the live-action world again because the Assassination Classroom live-action film, in its opening weekend, pretty much did a killing in the box office last week. JD, I have to ask, was this like a full media blitzkrieg with the manga and the anime and the movie all coming out at the same time? I mean, how much Assassination Classroom are you seeing over there?
Well, just to pay attention to like the news stuff, a lot of the live action was really pushed a lot more than. I mean, the manga is very popular and the anime series is very popular. If the anime is on TV currently airing, it's going to be popular anyways. But the manga before that was doing really well, and then the anime series came out, so it supported both those, and the live action they pushed. So, I think also the market that they're going for, it's really easy to get people to come out and watch a live action movie or whatever if they're like, teenagers or kids and, families. They're going to go out and watch it together. So, yeah, I can see that it'd be make a killing here in Japan. So, I don't know about overseas, though.
Well, guys, if you are still interested, you can check out that episode of the Manga Corner with JD and Colton, where they talked about Assassination Classroom. And yeah, like I said, it did 410 million yen in its opening weekend. That's not a small amount of money, and I guess it's a big deal, Assassination Classroom. But
Yep.
it seemed like this was kind of unique. All of this with this particular property, it all happened in like less than a year. I mean, even with something like Attack on Titan, the success and kind of the multimedia onslaught of Attack on Titan, it seemed kind of spread out over time. But I don't know if it's just me, but Assassination Classroom just kind of suddenly came out of nowhere. Boom, Assassination Classroom, and then suddenly it's all over the place.
Well, the kids.
Or was it around for a while?
Yeah, the stuff that's more towards kids and teenagers, they're gonna do really well here. Like they have Yokai Watch, Doraemon, Anpanman, just a lot of stuff like that. It's very popular and it'll stay popular for a long time, even if it's within a year, And so a lot of people will buy these things for their kids and stuff because that's what their kids want. I mean, Japan's very open and hospitable towards children. So, like the States, but like that market, for Attack on Titan, it's not necessarily for kids. It's more for teenagers and older, So, of course, those two markets by themselves, you're not going to make as much money marketing to someone younger if it's not really for them, like Attack on Titan, which is considered a horror manga, Whereas you have, like, Assassination Classroom, it does have guns and stuff, but it's kind of more playful and kind of very, very immature and childish. So, of course, you can see children getting into that and some other and teenagers. So, of course, you can sell those a lot easier to the parents. Yeah.
All right. Moving on from a live action that has done very well to a live action adaptation that could happen that I can't for the life of me fathom why anyone would want to do this. Sony has grabbed the rights to make a live action adaptation of Robotech. Not Macross. So before anyone says, DJM, you're the Met guy, you should love this. Robotech.
This has been in the news cycle for years. I know a few
Robotech.
years back, it was announced that Leonardo DiCaprio acquired the rights and was going to be working with Tobey Maguire on making this a live action over here in the States through his production company. I don't know if necessarily they were going to star in it, but I know they're in a production company together, and that was the rumor for a while. So I guess somebody out there in land wants this to be a thing. Whether or not it is going to be a thing, maybe it'll come out 2 weeks after the Cowboy Bebop movie, or the Death Note movie, or the Fill in the Blank movie.
Robotech, not Macross.
Robotech. That makes as much sense as making a live-action movie about Voltron. Wait, that's Michael Bay's Transformers. And the Lego movie. Just put those two in a blender, and that's Voltron.
We are not going to sully the greatness of the Lego movie with this, Jake
Everything is awful.
Everything is cool when you're part of the team. Great
Everything's live action because Japan really wants to make muns. Everything's live action.
And it's usually crap.
Fix Michael
Next.
Bay.
Thanks, but waiting. No thanks.
Packer Girl 89, I am still waiting on Tim Burton's One Piece. I think at this point I'll just have to animate it myself. Hashtag doing all the work. You're welcome.
As long as you get a rap opening theme, I'll totally go see it.
And Packer Girls 89 says in the chat, at least do a live action Zoids with Michael Bay as the director, of course.
Lol.
As long as it's Zoids and not Zoids Chaotic Century. Because Zoids Chaotic Century would actually need a decent director because that had a story that was good. You keep Michael Bay away from Chaotic Century.
Let's keep
Poor Michael Bay.
Let's
not
Michael Bay.
Poor Michael Bay is very, very rich.
Let's let Michael Bay remake Inception that will ruin his career. Because it's the complete opposite. Everything will be awesome.
Let's have Michael Bay work with M. Night Shyamalan and Shyamalan, and maybe he will no longer make movies.
And
they'll make an adaptation of. They'll be the ones that will do the live-action Ghost in the Shell movie. Don't make me review that, JD. I don't want to review that when it comes out. Don't make me.
Hey, if you don't want to do it, I will.
We go together like kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. Bam! Surprise ending. We go together like shabba-doo-ba-da.
Wow, it just turned into a musical.
All right.
Before it turns into a rehash of A3K 100, where Jack and I broke into a musical, one more story. Brand new material that actually potentially sounds great from the creator of a show that I say is highly overlooked, Steins Gate. Brand new from Shiyomaru Shikura. The show is going to be called Occultic 9. It sounds like it's going to be another in the sort of paranormal science series along the lines of Steins Gate, Chaos Head, and a personal favorite of mine, Robotics Notes. Everything this guy does, I think, is fantastic. Along with that, there is going to be a sequel to the original Steins Gate game / visual novel coming out next year. Not sure what system it's going to be on, but the last one was on the Xbox 360. So, if any of you guys have watched Steins Gate or any of these shows, they're all really, really enjoyable. They're high on my list. Sean?
Oh no, I was just doing a semicolon.
Okay. Then, cool. Then, in that case, I would say, just scrolling down a little bit, there's along with this, since this is a visual novel, I'm just going to go ahead and say that there's definitely some waifu material in here.
Ooh, kawaii, here we go.
There are some waifus in this, and this looks like it actually could be a pretty interesting show. I'm not one for the visual novels usually, but all of these that have been adapted into anime by this team and from Madhouse, they've all been really, really good. So I will look forward to this. I hope that the anime Occultic 9 does get picked up by Funimation when it is done, just like Steins Gate did, and it gains some popularity. And I like these sci-fi shows that are a little bit on the paranoia side, even if they are adapted from visual novels. Not every anime that is adapted from a visual novel or a game is bad, everybody.
I do have to point out, you said that it has waifu material. I have to point this out. Visual novels don't have to be this. I am imploring anyone to please, please find it in your heart to donate to an eventual Patreon. That's right, I'm making it official. I am making a visual novel where you do not end up with a girl. You talk to girls, and one of them is suicidal, and another is a sadistic monster that is no longer human because her life is broken. The rest of it is about finding your father. This is not what visual novels have to be, but that's what I'm doing. That's not what I meant in the order. Visual novels don't have to be what they are now. That's what I'm doing, and it's not anime style, it's cartoon style. I'm done. I'm sorry for plugging that, but visual novels don't have to be Japanese or involve women that you are dating. It doesn't have to be this way. Please, find it in your heart, chat.
So you're making a Persona game, is what you're saying.
Exactly not. I'm making Persona 5. I didn't mean to spoil it like that, but spoilers, that's what's going on.
Well, congratulations to Jack on that. And you're still not allowed to pass out because we've got to move into what you've been dotting. So, JD Banks, what have you been dotting? What are you up to these days?
Well, this week I'm getting ready to go to the Philippines, so I've barely been reading manga, and what I'm reading is
in the world is JD Banks.
In
Get on
Japan.
that PBS.
She went from San Diego to Japan, all the way to the Philippines and all. I'm sorry.
I did have that game, by the way. I have been reading Doraemon, and I know that there really isn't one in the States right now. There's only the translated, like, bilingual ones here in Japan, so I've been reading those Doraemon. It's so funny.
Jack, what have you been up to? What have you been reading, playing, drawing, dotting, backflipping? What have you been up to, Jay Quellen?
We're back to this. Well, I actually, guys, if you've been paying attention every time I'm on, I usually don't talk about manga or anime. Guess what? I actually reread a shoujo manga from my past. It's called Sugar Sugar Rune, and I'm going to say it right now, I'm a big fan of Halloween-type witches. There aren't really a lot of witches, strike witches, that are actually witches, and these are straight up pointy hat, witches, they're casting spells, they're saying things, it's very stylish, they all look like little Miss Alexandra dolls. Sugar Sugar Rune. Here's something interesting that I recently discovered once I realized who the creator was. The mangaka responsible for Sugar Sugar Rune is named Moyoko Ano. She recently released a slice of life manga series based on her life with her husband, Hideaki Anno. I think she's got some problems, but she herself is
That sounds like
nice,
a healthy marriage.
She's a very nice human being. I feel sorry for her. You can tell that she's suffering because she had to write an entire manga, like a compilation book. It's enough to fill a volume of what happens in her marriage, and he looks absolutely god-awful the way she draws him. He looks like a hot mess with a gigantic pot belly over this tiny, scraggly little body. It's really insane to look at. But her art for Sugar Sugar Rune, just beautiful. Miss Alexandria dolls meets French artwork. And other than that, I've been watching Community, which because that's going to be coming back, and I go to a community college, so that's a thing. I'd like to think of myself as the Jeff of the group, but that's probably not the way it's going. I'm probably closer to Annie, or Britta, or Abed. You know what? Let's just say I'm Abed, for the sake of argument here. And then on David and Colton's recommendation, I've been watching some Steven Universe, and we'll get back to that in a second. Everybody else talk. I get tired of talking in this state that I'm in.
Welcome to my world about a week ago. Sean, what have you been watching and dotting? Because we've totally got to talk about Parasite right now, Sean. This is the part of the A3K podcast where David and Sean talk about Parasite.
So let me get my first one out because I don't really have a lot to say, and then we can talk about Parasite. The first, I started watching the third season of Kuroko's Basketball, and and Parasite. Now we get to Parasite.
All right. Have you caught up? Have you
watched the last second of the last episode?
All right. Okay. What kind of ending was that? What?
It was very lackluster. I can only assume that there's more that happens in the manga. Well, actually, probably not, because it kind of just, without giving away anything, it kind of just...
They really kind of sealed everything up, but it just seemed like it was put best by Corey, who we had on the show a few weeks ago, that I saw him say, Parasite came in with a bang, but it ended with a whimper. And last week's episode 23, I really didn't much care for either. Those last two episodes were really kind of a drag. I don't know, maybe it was just because that it seemed like the relationship between Shinichi and Migi kind of ended very strangely. That Migi was like, okay, I'm leaving now because I'm going to go find out the truth of all existence and whatnot, and I'm totally going to disappear.
I felt like the series, I think they should have kept some sort of suspense or some sort of something to keep the audience hooked. It almost felt like, they were finishing out a shift at McDonald's, you know what I mean? It's like, it was busy at 8 p.m. Now it's 11 o'clock. Let's clean the fryer. All right, we're going to hang it up and go home. And you have to sit and watch them do it. You know what I mean? Instead of having something going on from the very last second. Although I will admit I did like the fight at the end. It kind of... Well, no, actually I didn't like the fight at the end because...
Right? The fight at the end was a drag.
Yeah, it was... I wish they would have followed through with what they did. At least you would have felt a little jarred at the series, but it felt like a Dexter cop-out towards the end, without giving away any spoilers. But yeah. But would you recommend the series given everything?
I would still recommend the series because a show that I mentioned on the overlooked list, Big O, it was great from start to finish until the very, very end. And I would say the same for Parasite. I enjoyed it all the way through until the last two episodes. So I can say that Parasite is still one that I think would watch. And honestly, this whole season has been really, really good. I've been dotting amazingly like 3 different shows.
What shows?
I have a question. Question about Parasite. So the conclusion of Parasite, does House get better, or is he back on the pills at the end?
He gets better.
Yay, House! No, legitimately, do you think this is something to watch in its entirety, or just watch until a certain episode? Because I know there are some shows like that.
You can watch it in its entirety from start to finish. It's one to watch, and you'll want to see how it concludes. You will want to see how it reaches its conclusion. It's just kind of like, oh, that's kind of
I'll put it this way: when you first start watching Parasite, it's Death Note. It's on the level of Death Note. Like, wow, this could be as good as this show. It could be one of my favorites. But then, as it gets to the last 5 to 6 episodes, you start to kind of lose that feeling till it goes from an A show to about a B- show by the end of it. So there's a lot of better. I mean, there's a lot of worse things you could be watching, but it doesn't meet the expectation. It doesn't stay at the bar that it's set at the beginning of the series.
It really does end kind of flat. It's not terrible. It's just kind of flat.
And I'm gonna bring it up again. If you want to compare it to anything like a real, like an American television series, it's like the Dexter of anime series, where it starts off really strong, but it doesn't stay up there and ends with a very sort of feel.
Ugh. I've been dotting Reconquista in G. It is on episode 25 of 26. The final episode is going to be next week, and I have to say, in the past, I have said some things about the original writer-director of Mobile Suit Gundam, Yoshiyuki Tomino, who has been the writer and director on this series. And well, to Tomino being the grumpy old man that he is, I must concede, this is my mea culpa. Reconquista in G is absolutely fantastic. It is a great 26 episodes of Mobile Suit Gundam. It's from start to finish. The action was good, the story was good, you care about the people, you care about the war, you care about the nations involved. The mech designs are all really unique for modern day and age with mechs. And yeah, it's Reconquista in G made me proud to be a Gundam fan again. And Tomino, I say he's still got it. He's absolutely still got it. So if you're intrigued about Reconquista in G, and you want to see what the next Mobile Suit Gundam series was all about, I say check it out because it was really, really good. And yeah, there's still room in the world for Gundam.
And before we end this segment, I just want to go over some of the chatter.
Oh, and Death Parade. Death Parade too. God.
Yay! I was telling the chat that I think the Asylum should be in charge of making the live-action Death Parade movie.
Jack, did you watch the last episode?
I haven't. I've been really behind on it. Is that not
Okay.
a thing I should say? Am I blasphemous in saying that the people who made Sharknado should make that?
Sharknado.
Yeah, they made Sharknado. The Asylum for Sharknado. I just think that it would be fun to see them
Jack?
take something really awesome and do something crazy with it.
Sharknado.
Don't hurt me.
You might want to finish the series.
Don't hurt me, please.
Don't hurt me.
Once the show is done, you're not gonna say that.
Okay.
I mean, it was fantastic. The ending. I just saw in the chat room Abyss 1992. Death Parade, yes, 100%. Death Parade is god tier. I will say it right now with the final episode that there was a part in the final episode where I had to take a minute and recollect myself because it was extremely emotional, and I had what the kids refer to these days as the feels. Death Parade is absolutely, it might be the best anime I've watched in years. Watch it. Just
Okay.
everything about it was 5 stars. And it was 12 episodes, absolutely wonderful. Nothing bad about it. Just watch Death Parade. It was amazing. And again, this whole season, this season was really, really good. I was really happy about that because you're always worried about how many anime you go through and see, oh, all of these 50-something anime look like garbage. But no, I had about 4 different shows that I enjoyed this season. So I'm satisfied.
And we're going to go into the takeaway right now, and we're going to start with JD. So, JD, what is your takeaway for this episode?
Besides the Manga Corner on the A3K, I have my own blog called Jade's Escape, and I do review manga series and how I feel like certain things, delve a little deeper into the Japanese psyche. So you can read that at jadesescape.com, or if you have an anime club or Japan-related club, I do have my own club website called Anime Ascendant, and if you're looking for sponsorships or looking for advice or anything like that, just go to animeascendant.com.
Nice. And Jack, what is your takeaway?
Oh, there is a lot going on. Tonight we have a speed draw, as per usual, that happens on Saturday. I had recently finished reading the most amazing screenplay that one of my friends has written to submit into a screenplay contest that is Hero, Kurt Ken, responsible for the movie Shuffle. entered into when he was about my friend's age. And we brought in a bunch of people for a Skype call, and we all watched it. We all listened to it. We read it aloud together, and it was one of the most amazing experiences of my life. So I wanted to become closer to them all, more close than we were because it was such an amazing experience, and said, you guys pick what I draw tonight, and I'll draw 5 little chibis. So here's what the choices ended up being. Oh, it's scrolling. Oh, dear. That's not because of me. That's because JD's typing in that little doc. We've got Jareth the Goblin King from Labyrinth, Pit from Kid Icarus, Fallout 3's Gob, one of those ghoul characters, one of my original characters because one of my friends is such a sweet dear. I asked, what's your favorite character currently from TV show, movies? He said, I want you to draw your character, this guy. His name is Clark, but that's irrelevant. He's actually from the visual novel I'm making. Donate, except you can't yet. And then the last one is Garnet from Steven Universe. So I'll be posting the link to that, later on at Jack D Tyler D on Twitter. You can find all the speed draws that are currently up there at Yoshi Star Spirit on YouTube. And my
What's that YouTube page again? What's that YouTube page again, Jack?
It's up your ass and to the left, David. It's Yoshi Star Spirit, like Paper Mario with the adorable green dinosaurs. And just because I don't do enough creative stuff, my Tumblr has come back from the grave thanks to this whole Steven Universe thing. Not only am I going to start posting to my main blog for art and other general things, Mechanical Symphonies at tumblr.com, that's symphonies as in plural, in the correct sense, IES, and they are mechanical. I also created a purely Steven Universe blog called Watermelon Tourmaline Gem at Tumblr. So take a look at all of that. I'm amazing. I'm incredible. I'm inebriated. Back to you guys. Say something sensible.
And David.
Something sensible.
I love you, David.
I love you too, Jay Quellen.
He's the best in the chat right now. I love you, Dean.
And what is your takeaway, David?
Well, as always, all sorts of things are happening over at DeltaJulietMike.com. With the Fanny Pack Wrestling Podcast, Mi Carnal Mi Hermano PD Rave is in California covering WrestleCon and all things for the weekend of WrestleMania 31. I'm covering things over the intertubes with the WWE Network and all things live stream. PD Rave is covering things live on the scene with Justin Robert Young of Night Attack and weird things for Jury Mania. And this Sunday, after WrestleMania Sunday evening, before I start my brand new real-life day job, we're going to talk all about the weekend in wrestling. It's the biggest pro wrestling weekend of the year, and we're going to cover it all top to bottom. Also, a brand new episode of Shooting the Shit with Two Nerdy Black Guys will be coming out pretty soon, where we talked about video games with James Bartholomew from IndieLove.com, covering all things indie game. And yeah, as always, the A3K podcast, Nanashi. Lily's at another convention right now. That's why Nanashi's kind of we're working on it. We're going to get another episode of Nanashi out very, very soon. And yeah, the A3K podcast, as always, Sean is here to make sure I don't get arrested or get us taken off of YouTube, and everything else at DeltaJulietMike.com.
And we want to thank all of you for joining us for the A3K podcast.
Wait. We gotta say it. I gotta say it. Sean Russell of the A3K Network. What's going on over at Anime3000.com?
Thank you, Tom Merritt. We are. I want to thank everybody for checking out the A3K podcast. If you're watching this, if you're listening to it, thank you for subscribing. Make sure you tell your friends. We definitely love more ears and more eyeballs on the things that we're doing. And maybe I should switch to myself. More eyeballs on the things that we're doing. Also, everyone that joined us live. You guys are awesome. You guys are the most dedicated, and we appreciate it. And if you want to join us live, we are here every Saturday, 11 p.m. Eastern, You can check us out. You can interact as you've been listening to or watching the show. You've probably heard us to mention a few people. That could be you if you go to youtube.com/A3KTV. Also, another advantage of joining the live audience is you might not see or hear everything that went on in this taping. But if you were part of that audience, you will get to see that. So, for one more time, because repetition is the father of learning, youtube.com/A3KTV, 11 p.m. Eastern. That's where you need to be so you can check out A3K live. And from all of us here at Anime 3000, Jack D. Alistair, David Majors, JD Banks, I'm Sean Russell. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week.
Hashtag drunk Mr. Russell.
Drunk Mr. Russell.